After running a roadside flower stand for the first time this year, I am making some changes for my 2026 growing season. And if you would like to see what I plan on growing, then stay tuned because we are going to dive in with all things flowers. And hi, if you're new here, my name is Kristy. I'm located in Massachusetts Zone 6A. And last year I took a big leap of faith and decided to open up my roadside flower stand where I am growing my own cut flowers in my backyard. And this year we are actually going to try and expand as much as possible. So when I first started this channel, it was mainly for showing that any at-home gardener or someone that doesn't have a green thumb can definitely grow things with just some of the right knowledge. We did a lot of seed starting together and mostly focused on vegetables and dabbled a little bit into flowers later on. Now, I do have raised garden beds in my backyard, 11 of them to be exact, and those were mainly for vegetables, which we grew hundreds of tomatoes, if you don't remember, peppers, and all the yummy good things that we enjoyed cooking with. Now, I used to go to a farm share and notice that a lot of the things that they were including in the farm share we didn't eat, so I wanted to bring it to my backyard, and that is where we got the vegetable garden. Well, now we're switching things up and we are just focusing on a cut flower garden. I loved having my roadside flower stand. I learned so much this past year, and I actually just did a review on it, so go ahead and check that out. I'll make sure I link it in the description below so you can see what I took away as my pros, my cons, what I hope to go forward with in the 2026 season. But this video is all about what I plan on growing and why. So the first thing I noticed is that I just did not have enough flowers, and I didn't have any spring flowers. Basically, I opened up super late and I didn't start selling anything until the last weekend in July, but that was also due to the fact that I was still trying to get my beds going. I was tilling, making rows, we were knocking trees down, and it took quite a lot of time, so that definitely did slow things down. Well, this year we have plenty of garden beds and I may be making a few more, so definitely stay tuned for that. But I wanted to share with you what I do plan on growing. Now, I tried doing some cool hardy annuals. We'll see how those go. I was not really good with putting the frost cloth up and down with the snow and the sleet, the freezing rain, all the things that New England just loves to throw at you. So I'm not quite sure how everything is doing. My snapdragons are looking pretty sad, but we'll see. If not, I do have a lot of backup. So I did order a lot of seeds from Johnny's, and then I also did some orders with Floret, which I'm still waiting on, the Gardener's Workshop, and Swallowtail. So I have everything laid out in front of me, and I'm super excited to go with you and kind of a little bit overwhelmed, but I am someone that just likes to go and just throw myself fully into something, submerge myself, and then just see how it comes out in the end. And usually I do a pretty good job staying above water. I'm trying to think of what my customers around me are enjoying. They love the zinnias, the dahlias, the sunflowers, so I went really heavy on those. I got some new dahlia tubers, which I'm hoping overwintering will be going well. I stored them in peat moss in my garage. I do have a lot of flower seeds to be starting, but I also wanted to make sure I had a lot of filler flowers. So we made sure we had the fillers, we had the spike, we had the focal flowers, and I tried hitting all the seasons. Now, looking in front of me, I'm like, there is no way I have enough room for this. We were planning on taking down a good chunk of our backyard and all the trees, but I don't think that's going to happen until 2027. The contractor that we are looking at is super busy, so it might not happen in the very limited time frame that I have for them to knock those trees down. That is due to the fact that their only access point is actually over all of my tilled garden beds, which I need by mid to late March. And so unfortunately, I would have to either wait until after my growing season in late October or all of November. Till then, we're going to make do with the space that we have. Now, one thing I noticed is that my zinnias did amazing, except when I pinched my zinnias and dahlias, I did notice that my bloom times were down. So I'm hoping to stagger the colors to my zinnias because I did go all out with Oklahomas, Bennery Giant, and then I got a few others from Johnny's as well, and the Queenie Lime series. So I'm hoping if I can do the pastels in the earlier of the season, the nice bright, vibrant colors towards the middle of summer, and then going more for those darker tones for the fall, I can get a nice good colorway using all these seeds and doing succession planting. I did a lot of celosia I went super heavy on, Strawflower, which I hope to grow, for the fall so I can dry and harvest them. And I'm going to be dabbling into some pumpkins, which I haven't made that purchase yet. So let's take a look at what we are growing. All right, so I'm gonna try and stay as organized as possible, but I do have so much and very little time. If you are new, I do a lot of my gardening when my kids are either sleeping or on the weekends. So it is nap time right now. And I am just trying to squeeze this in so I can share with what I can, because I do hope to start growing my lisianthus very soon and my eucalyptus. So I tried finding all of my filler flower. That is something I totally lacked in last year. I mean, I wasn't even thinking about it in my foliage. So we have some foliage and some fillers that I plan on showing first. I'm going heavy on, like I said before, my zinnias and snapdragons and sunflowers. But for my filler and my foliage, we're going to go over with that. So blue plurum, I actually did some direct sowing of this in the fall. I'm not quite sure how it's doing because, like I said, I did have my frost cloth up and down. I was doing pretty good. And then with the wreath time, I just totally forgot about it. And I took it off one day because we got snow. Well, guess what? That snow has just melted. That nice blanket that was keeping everything snug as a bug, which at least I was hoping for, has completely melted. And I did not get my frost cloth back up to cover everything. So I'm really not sure what is going to survive. So I just did backups. We had a lot of bachelor's buttons. I had feverfew, snapdragons. So I just got extra just in case if those don't work out. Blue plurum as well. Oh, and campanula. So we'll see how those fare. If not, that's okay. Live and learn is like what I like to say. All right, so I have more blue plurum, which I plan on direct sowing. I did some ornamental grass this year. I got the frost explosion. I thought that was just like a nice, airy, pretty touch. So I hope that that will go over well. I got Sweet Annie. There's some other people that I like to watch and learn from on YouTube. And the Sweet Annie looked amazing. And these are all from Johnny's, by the way. And then I got two different types of basil. I got cinnamon and lemon basil. So I got a whole bunch of Mrs. Burns lemon. So I'm hoping that I can add some basil, not just for cooking purposes. And then for eucalyptus, I got the silver dollar and the baby blue bouquet. I love eucalyptus. I got some towards the end of the summer and was able to get a few stems of it. I'm really hoping I can find a spot where I can try and overwinter it. Now, it gets freezing here in Massachusetts, so I'm hoping I can get some starts going. I'm gonna try and grow as much as I can, plant it out in a spot that looks pretty darn good, and then I'm going to just definitely put some leaf mulch and a tarp over it and see if I can get it to overwinter for the next year. So I have two types of eucalyptus, and I also got an oregano as well, like an ornamental one. I'm not quite sure how it will do, so that's just something to go ahead and try out. I got some hot hibiscus amaranth, which I'm hoping to use towards the fall. And then from the Gardener's Workshop, I got two different types of cress. I got the Persian and the green dragon cress, and atriplex as well from the Gardener's Workshop. So those are going to be some of my foliage, but I also got something else I plan on trying out. And that is from Swallowtail. Now, in my review, I was talking about how coleus was such a great filler flower for my mason jars. While the stems weren't super tall, it was still great for mason jars. So I want to try and grow it again. And if not, I plan on going back to the nursery when she closes up in July and grabbing some of those. But I grew this 2 years ago and they were super short. I think I got a dwarf variety when I was checking some of my orders. So I'm gonna try out the Premium Sun Dark Chocolate Coleus, the Premium Sun Watermelon, the Premium Sun Crimson Gold, which is what I'm pretty sure I grew last year and it worked out fantastic in my fall mason jars. And then the Premium Sun Lime Delight. So we're gonna give those a try. Again, I grow in a very small space and I'm not quite sure how I plan on squeezing everything in. We are definitely gonna be testing the limits on how much we are spacing. I also do plan on taking over some of the front yard by my hydrangea hedge, and I did plant some lilacs, which I'm not sure how long it'll take for those to bloom because those were actually shoots from my parents' 30-plus-year-old bush. It is huge. It's like 2 stories tall. It's gorgeous. So I took some shoots off of that. All right, so I'm gonna put these to the side and we're gonna keep working our way, seeing what I can find for some filler. I am also going to succession plant these with some indoor seed starting, and also I had some really good luck with the winter sowing method with the milk jug, so we will be starting that actually in a few weeks too. All right, so while I'm looking around, I got the new Gumfrina, the sequin one from Johnny Seeds. I did not have good luck with Gumfrina last year, but I really think it's just because of where I planted it. It did not get enough sun, and it was in awful soil conditions because we got trees knocked down, so it was a lot of like leftover shredded bark, and I just didn't think it had good growing conditions. So I am going to be doing that, and I also saved some seeds off of my white and some of my pink, so I'm hoping that those saved seeds will also do pretty good for next year. Looking around, what else do we have? Oh, Strawflowers. So I have a ton of Strawflower, and I really want to grow this so I can use it for dried arrangements in the fall. And I really want to grow some mini pumpkins and put some of these little Strawflowers on top for next year. So I got some from Swallowtail and some from Johnny's. So from Swallowtail, I got the Swiss Giants Mix, the Scarlet Choice Double, Bright Rose, Apricot Peach Mix, and then I also have the Apricot Peach Mix from Johnny's, the Seashell Mix, which I tried growing in the fall to get some later blooms, and that just didn't work out because I was trying to do the Cool Hardy annuals, and I did Strawflower because I wrote down it was Cool Hardy to zone 6 when it's actually to zone 8. So they actually did bloom late fall, and my kids got them, but they were literally like 4 or 5 inches tall. It was super funny. I also got this White Rose, Vintage White, and Cranberry Rose, and those are all of the Strawflower. So I'm hoping to get some blooms in the early spring, and then those darker tones I plan on using for the fall. All right, up next we have Feverfew, and I absolutely love Feverfew. I actually had really good results with it with my winter sowing milk jugs. I planted them at the school, and it was like a much later bloom time than the ones that I did with seed starting indoors. So I'm going to do a little bit of both because I got some doubles, I would say. Yep, so from the Gardener's Workshop, I got the Vegmo Single and the Tetra White Wonder. And I also got Tetra White from Johnny's and the Magic Single. So the Tetra White, I probably will do some with the winter sowing, some seed starting indoors. I had good results when I potted those up. And I did sprinkle a lot of the seeds around the plants when they dried. So I'm hoping that they'll reseed from this past year so I can get some early blooms as well. And I also did plant them in my Cool Hardy beds. So we'll see if those will survive. So fingers crossed we'll have a ton of Feverfew because I absolutely love it. All right, another one we have is Status. I have Status somewhere else too in another box that I was planning on planting out this past year and I didn't get to it. But I do have the Hipster White and the Pastel Shades by Johnny's. And I think I have another one. It's like a pink poker one. I can't remember the exact name of it, but I really want to get some Status in as well. And now we have Stock. Kind of going out of order, but that's okay. So I did grow some stock for the fall. It bloomed, but I just started, I would say maybe 2 to 3 weeks too late. So it bloomed after my first frost actually. And unfortunately, I didn't have anything else to pair it with. What I did was I just cut it and I put it in my house and enjoyed the stock. I had some purple and like a darker pink. So I plan on having stock earlier in the year. So I got the Iron Pastels Mix, the Iron Apricot, Vintage Brown, the Cat's Formula Mix, Iron Rose, Iron Cherry, and the Cat's Double White. And what I noticed was I did plant them about 6 to 8 inches apart, and I noticed I can definitely space them closer. I did use some netting to help because it gets super windy here, but I do plan on planting things closer in hopes that they can help support each other. So with the stock, we are going to be going a little bit closer than that 6 to 8 inches that I had. So hopefully I can squeeze some more in, but they were just such beautiful blooms. So we have stock. All right, we have Chinese forget-me-nots. Now, I grew this in my winter sowing milk jugs, just like the regular blue one, and I planted them out in a really shaded spot, and they didn't do too well, but I did have some few stems, and I put those in some of my bouquets when I had orders, and they were just such a nice little twinkle that I loved adding to my bouquets. So I got some more Chinese forget-me-nots. I got the mystery rose, and then I got just the regular blue one. So I'm super excited to have those. I am going to be trying out Sweet Williams. Now, I grew those last year, and I think I got the biennials. So I had no bloom, just a lot of green growth. So maybe this year they will bloom for me, but this time I made sure to get the Amazon series. So I got the neon purple and the neon cherry from the Gardener's Workshop. So I'm hoping I can get these out and get some blooms for the first time. So like I said, we are still learning. So hopefully I can get a little bit of both, and that would be fantastic. All right, I got some other filler flower, and I got some perennials. I have a lot of perennials. I did a big border last year. They did a lot of just of the green growth. I have a ton of cone flower. I don't have any of the white or the traditional purple, but I got the nice sunsets, the powwow berry. And so I'm hoping that over the years, I can just keep adding more and more. I did dig some out, but I did manage to, with one of my little garden beds where all my irises are, I made it thicker, hoping that I could put some of these perennials there. So I got some ageratum, the blue glitter. I got echinops. I got the retro. I have blue cap sea holly, white glitter sea holly, star frost globe thistle, and the blue glow globe thistle. So I'm really hoping that I can get some more of the blue tones in. So I'm hoping that these perennials will help out. I do have a spot for them, so I made sure to give them some nice fresh compost, and those will be going out. I will be starting a lot of my perennials probably in January so they can get out a little bit earlier. I like to harden them off and get them into the environment a little bit before my average first frost date. Thank you for the greenhouse, and I'm going to hopefully add a little portable heater in there. And I also need to make sure that I get my vent in there as well, so that way I can use it all summer long. All right, now going off of the perennials, I also plan on growing some black-eyed Susan. So I have the Goldilocks. I also have some Colorado Sunset Yarrow, and I have another black-eyed Susan with seeds that I saved, and I'm hoping that I can plant those out because those were a lifesaver. They were these teeny tiny perennials that I got from a garden center about 2 years ago, and the bush just kept on producing and producing, and they looked and paired so well with sunflowers. So I'm hoping for that. Looking around, I also got some Veronica. I saw this in a flower farmers group, and I was like, man, I would love to grow these. So I got the sightseeing mixture and the pink goblin Veronica. I just like the spike. It kind of reminded me of snapdragons, but with just some tighter flowers. So I plan on growing those as well. Perennials I plan on growing super soon, and I'm just itching to get my hands going. I also got goldenrod. I saw this dried, and I'm really trying to focus in on some more of the fall things that I can sell just besides flowers, but dried arrangements, pumpkins. And I saw people creating witches brooms using goldenrod, and I really want to try and mimic this. So I have some goldenrod. It does grow a lot around here, but I'm not comfortable enough to just go and harvest it around the neighborhood. So I do have some goldenrod, and I do plan on asking the owner of the nursery down the road if I can maybe harvest some of hers, because she has acres of it. So we have goldenrod to add to the collection of all the things that I do plan on growing. Let me see, looking around, I have marigolds, and I plan on trying the white swan marigolds. I absolutely love marigolds. I saved a ton of seeds. I plan on direct sowing and starting some indoors of the larger oranges and yellows, but even just using it as a foliage just really saved my butt this past year when I didn't have any. It grew pretty quickly. I had it all over the yard. So I would just go in and harvest just the greenery and add that. And I also love the smell of marigold. I'm not sure if I'm the only one and if anyone else likes it too, but marigolds. So we're going to try the white swan this year. All right. moving on to some more, I got campanula. So like I said, I tried doing some of my campanula earlier, doing the cool hardy annuals. I'm not sure how it went because of the frost cloth issue, but we are going to do a better job next year. So just in case, as a backup, I got the Champion Rose, I got the pink, and the white. So I do plan on trying to start these so I can have them for the spring. I just love the little bell shapes. So we do have some campanula to try for a second time. Now, celosia. I have a lot, and I also got a ton from Floret, which obviously hasn't shipped quite yet. So I love celosia. I saved a lot of seeds as well, but I did get all of my celosia from the Gardener's Workshop. So I got the Plume Flamingo Feather. I have Coxcomb Super Crest Mix, Coxcomb Crystal Beauty. I have the Plume Selway Salmon, Plume Selway Terracotta, Plume High Z, and the Texas Plume Mix. All right, we're making a dent. We're getting to the fun, good stuff. And if you're thinking, oh my gosh, Kristy, you are insane. Yes, I know, but I am going to grow all the things. I noticed that with my celosia last year, I did space them. Those can definitely be tighter. I actually did winter sowing milk jugs with the celosia, and those were such nice taller stems. So I noticed, and I planted them in chunks. Like I saturated the milk jug. There were so many, I did not have time to plant them out individually. And I noticed that when they were planted really close together, they were so much taller than the ones that I did in my indoor seed starting. So I plan on doing tighter spacings. All right, now Cosmos. Ooh, I have such a love-hate relationship with Cosmos. I did not care for them last year. I did like them for foliage, but I think it's because I did the single petal. So I'm gonna give them one more try, and I got a lot of the double click varieties. So I have the double click Rose Bonbon, double click Snow Puff, and double click Bicolor Violet. So this is going to be my last time growing them. I didn't like how they would branch off. They wouldn't last as long. So I'm gonna try the double click ones. If not, I will be taking Cosmos off of my list. And I just did not care for harvesting them whatsoever. All right, snapdragons. We are into our last few. So we have snapdragons, zinnias, sunflowers, and lisianthus, which I plan on trying to grow this year. We are growing all the snapdragons, and I tried getting all the different groups so I can hit different bloom times. I absolutely love snapdragons. So we have Madam Butterfly Ivory, and these are in no particular order. Madam Butterfly Rose. Oh, look at that. I got 2 Madam Butterfly Roses. I got Apricot, Early Sunrise Mix, Chantilly Light Salmon, Chantilly Light Pink, Chantilly Cream Yellow. I got Madam Butterfly Bronze and the Orleans Early Lemon Yellow. So those are all of my snapdragons. I think I have a lot of orange and white still left over, so I might try and grow some of those as well if I can find them. So let's get into our zinnias. I do plan on trying to succession plant them by color. They're not separated like that right now, but I do have them with my Oklahoma. I did the Queenie series, the Benneries, and then a couple of like random extra ones. So I do have the Queen Red Lime and Queen Lime with Blotch zinnias from Swallowtail. And then from Johnny's, I got the Queenie Lemon Peach, Queenie Formula Mix, and the Queenie Lime Orange. I have for the Oklahoma series, we got Carmine, Salmon, White, and Ivory. So those are a lot smaller. I love them. I liked pairing them with the bigger ones. They just like would fill in that nice little gap sometimes when I didn't have like my yarrow blooming anymore, or a feverfew to put in. A small little zinnia just really did the trick, I felt like. For my Benneries Giants, I got Salmon Rose. I like literally got all of them. I got Deep Red, White, Scarlet, Carmine Rose, Coral, and Wine. I think the only thing I didn't get was purple, but I did like the purple one as well. And then For my random zinnias, I got the candy stripe mix from Swallowtail. I loved the candy stripe. I think it pairs so nicely with whites and like the wines and burgundies. It's like a nice little tie-in because it has those little thin strips of like a burgundy and wine color in there. So I threw those in. I also have the zinnias from Johnny's, the Aurora Ballerina, which I grew last year. And I was like, kind of about it, but I got it again. And then the linen. So those are going to be all my zinnias. And those I do plan on planting a little bit closer. I did them 6 inches for some and 8 to 9 inches on the other ones. And the Ben Raised Giants definitely need that 9 inches, but all the rest, I felt like I had some like Windfall and some Oklahoma and some like other random ones, which I spaced the 9 inches. I feel like I probably could have gotten away with like 6 or so. All right, moving on to sunflowers. Now I am investing a lot into the Pro Cut series. I did a lot of the branching ones last year. I saved a lot of the branching sunflower seeds, so I do plan on still growing those as well because those really saved me when I was in a pinch. But for my sunflowers, I plan on growing like the lighter tones in the earlier season and then going towards those yellows and oranges come midsummer and then going to the darker tones for the fall. So I might have to get some more, but I got a lot. And I did get a lot because, again, I was thinking that we would have some more land available when we knock trees down, but that's not, I don't think, going to happen this spring. So we are going to just make do with what we have. So I did get the Pro Cut White Light, Pro Cut Peach, Pro Cut Red, a lot of Pro Cut Orange, Pro Cut Orange Excel, Pro Cut Lemon Light, Pro Cut White Night, Peach, and Peach Light. So I got a lot of sunflowers right there. All right, and best for last, I guess I should say, lisianthus. I am going to take on lisianthus, and I kind of went overboard, but I'm really hoping it works because I'm going to be bored out of my mind and I want to grow. And so I thought lisianthus would be perfect because the only thing that I did have so early on were my cone flowers, which I don't plan on growing as many. I'm just going to ask some people what they want. I don't need too many. I have a lot that was putting on a lot of green growth. And if anything, I can winter sow and pot those up and plant them in the fall. So I'm not going to focus too much on those perennials, except for the ones, like I mentioned before, that which we'll be adding in. So for lisianthus, please wish me luck because I really hope this works out. So I got the Voyage to Champagne, Coreal Light Pink and Pink. I got the Voyage to Light Apricot, Voyage Pink. I also got Voyage to First Love, Voyage, another Voyage Pink. So it looks like I got maybe 2 of the same one. Good job, Kristy. And I got the Arena Apricot and the Coreal White. So we have a handful. I got 50 seeds. I plan on trying to do all of them. I think it was a total of like 400 or 450 seeds. I can't remember to be exact. But we're going to be starting those this week because I am on my holiday break, which I'm super excited about. So we will be starting lisianthus the next few days, either before or after Christmas. So definitely stay tuned. And if that wasn't long enough of all the things that we've grown, we are done. So let me know if you think I'm a little bit crazy with growing all of this. I can show you what my space looks like. So I do have, as I mentioned before, it's kind of like 4.5 rows because one of my rows does kind of L out by my playground. So I have all of that space. I do have a space where all my irises are, where I plan on putting some more perennials. And I also plan on, because a lot of that space was actually taken up by my dahlias, I am creating 5 10 by 3 foot beds just for my dahlias. So that will be going in another space, plus my additional 11 garden beds that I use for my vegetables. I will be using my cattle panels to still hold my tomatoes. And then I do plan on putting things here and there. I have a space out front, which I'm hoping to add some more compost to. So I can put some of my zinnias there. as just like a filler spot until we do get this land cleared so I can grow some more, because that was supposed to be for all of my zinnias and my sunflowers and celosia, because it will get a lot of sun. But again, that is put on hold, and that's totally fine. So I think I should be good if I have one full row for sunflowers, and then I should have another full row for all of my snapdragons, which leaves me about 2.5 rows for my filler flowers and celosia. And I do plan on putting some of my zinnias either up front or in my garden beds in the back. So we will see. I'm going to try and get in as many as I can and move things around. My lisianthus will definitely be going in my raised garden beds along with my ranunculus. And then I'm hoping that once those are done, I can have another succession of zinnias or things for the fall to take those places and do a quick turnaround. So we'll see how that goes. So I hope you had fun watching, maybe gives you some ideas. Definitely give me some tips below. Let me know if you think that I am biting off too much more than I can chew, but that's kind of how I run. I just go full on in, and I will say that I had way more that I was planning on buying, and I kind of cut back. I do have some flowers, which I do still have left over. I know I have some status somewhere, which I need to find. Some snapdragons, that I didn't start all of the seeds for the ones that I did for my Cool Hardy annual planting. So if those beds don't work out, I do have 5 beds over there that I created. Those are 6 by 3 foot beds. So I do have some space that I can play with and kind of move things around. I did take out a big spot for my daffodils, so I'm hoping that those work out pretty well. And I'm gonna see if I can maybe stagger something to go in between the daffodils once those have died back. So I'm not quite sure what I can put there. So if any suggestions, please go ahead and let me know. And we are done with the deep dive. I'm hoping that after going over all this, I have covered enough greenery and filler flowers, which I think I did a pretty darn good job with this time, to go with my spiked and focal flowers. So I'm tried hitting things everywhere. Working on succession planting more with the color varieties, depending on what it is, especially like my zinnias and my sunflowers, trying to hit the colors that I want in the season. And my goal for having so much variety is because I still want to offer my mason jars, but I also really wanted to, this whole entire time, was to not have the mason jars, but to have my wrapped bouquets. Unfortunately, my stems were just not quite long enough. So I'm hoping this year we'll have better luck with that, so I can offer 2 price points. I can have my mason jar price point, which is a grab and go, which if you take the sleeve off, as I mentioned before in my review, is that they're more front-facing arrangements, whereas I want my wrapped bouquets to obviously be able to go into a vase and you have it from all the different angles. So I'm hoping that with my greenery, my filler flowers, to go with those focal flowers, I can have less stems and then do 2 different price points per whatever someone chooses. And my wrapped bouquets, I really want to have all the same, or maybe like 2 different versions, whereas my mason jars, I really loved having the uniqueness where each one was a little bit different. And then my biggest thing is going out of my comfort zone and mixing colors, because I plan on going with all of like the pinks and corals together, all of like the whites and burgundies together, the yellows together. I did all my queenies together. So I'm really hoping I can mix and match colors to, you know, get out of my comfort zone and offer more of a variety of arrangements. So with that being said, thank you so much for staying tuned. We will be growing lisianthus and eucalyptus next, so go ahead and click like and subscribe and hit that bell button so you can stay tuned and see how that goes. I'm going to try and do a lot better this time with showing some updates as well. So until next time, happy gardening. Bye.